Is the twin flame journey about finding your one true love? Or is it just more emotional labor rebranded as destiny? Today, we're going to find out. I'm Leah Carey, relationship and intimacy coach. And before we dive in, I want to remind you that I've just started a Substack. So please join me. Link is in the description. Today, we're exploring the hype around twin flames, the concept that's taken hold in spiritual and online communities. Twin flames have gotten a lot of attention lately with the release of multiple exposés about the absolutely horrific abuses at Twin Flames Universe, run by Jeff and Shalia Devine. But they are far from the only ones pushing this idea. Search Twin Flames on YouTube, and you'll find dozens of creators offering sacred teachings and spiritual downloads to help you find your other half. I chose one of these videos at random to do a breakdown, and boy, oh boy, is it a doozy. But before we dive into the critique, I want to make sure that you have an explanation of the concept as described by Twin Flames Universe.
God created a soul blueprint. And what the soul blueprint contains is it's like your oversoul. And from here, God created the divine masculine twin flame and the divine feminine twin flame as perfect complements to one another so that we could all have an eternal partner to spend our lives with.
I want to be really clear. If you've followed twin flame teachings and have found deep, meaningful love, I am genuinely happy for you. The world needs more love, and that is something to celebrate. At the same time, that doesn't excuse the responsibility of teachers who are spreading advice that can be incredibly harmful and that sets many people up for confusion, heartbreak, and self-blame. So we can hold space for your joy and still question a system that hurts others. And if you've ever been in a high control environment or in a relationship where you were expected to carry all of the emotional weight, some of this is going to sound really familiar. The video I chose is by a creator named Gabi Kovalenko, and it's called The Deepest Twin Flame Video Ever Made, which seemed like an obvious place to dive in.
Every single twin flame pairing is experiencing that same dynamic. Strong desire, strong passion, a desire to rekindle those lost sparks. And yet there's also this strong familiarity, as if you're recovering that lost part of you that was always found and was always meant to be right there, warming your soul and creating this space where unity is always accessible.
Sounds good, right? Who doesn't want that kind of connection and intensity? But intensity is not the same thing as intimacy. That electric pull she's describing, the soaring feeling, the obsession, the can't eat, can't sleep kind of connection, that is very real. And it's very biological. When you first meet someone, your brain is being flooded with chemicals like dopamine, which fuels pleasure, motivation, and an intense sense of reward. Meanwhile, your serotonin levels may actually dip, which can lead to obsessive thoughts and hyper focus on your partner. This phenomenon has a name: new relationship energy. These neurochemical shifts are designed to aid in bonding, but by their very nature, they don't last because your brain cannot sustain indefinitely this level of what is essentially intoxication. So over a few months, or sometimes a little over a year, the chemicals settle and your system returns to its baseline. Now, all of this is completely normal, but when we overlay a spiritual narrative, this is my twin flame, this is my divine partner, this is who the universe chose for me, things can get ugly fast. Because now it's not just chemistry, it's destiny. So when that initial spark fades, as it always does, you might stay in something unhealthy because you believe it's spiritually significant. You might tolerate neglect, disrespect, or chaos because you think it's part of the journey. You might think this difficulty is my soul's lesson instead of this person is an Okay, now let's talk about where the twin flame framework starts looking suspiciously familiar, especially if you've been subject to religious abuse.
The feminine tends to hold the key to integration, which the masculine counterpart needs to assimilate in order to come home to the other aspect of himself. Very often, the masculine counterpart is lost along the way. But when the hero comes to that inevitable point in his journey when he's confronted with the need to look into his own heart and soul, he finds a schism and a void within himself, which his twin flame, the divine feminine counterpart, awakens.
So, the divine feminine holds the wisdom. The divine masculine is lost and resistant. She must be wise enough and patient enough to lead him to his destiny. The woman becomes the enlightened one, the patient one, the healer, the mirror, the catalyst. The man gets to wander, resist, ignore, and still be considered spiritually important because without him, she can't fulfill her destiny. It's the same old script we've seen before. The woman does the work, and the man eventually leads after she's cleaned up his mess. This is nothing more than spiritualized emotional labor. More on emotional labor in this video. Honestly, swap out the words divine feminine and divine masculine for wife and husband, and you've got a women's Bible study. He's the head, but you're the neck that turns the head. He's the spiritual leader, but it's your job to pray him into being. He's resistant, but you just need to be patient and virtuous. This narrative can even feel like it's lifting women up because it calls her the wise one, the intuitive one, the vessel of truth. But it's a trap, because if you're the one with all the wisdom, then you're also the one responsible for the success of the relationship. You're the one who has to wait, to carry, to push, to grow for both of you. That's a hell of a lot of pressure, and it does not lead to connection or mutual support. It leads to resentment, exhaustion, and staying in relationships that aren't working because you're convinced it's spiritually ordained. We do not need another system that gives men permission to underfunction while telling women that their suffering is noble. When you're always the wise one, there's no room to be messy or confused or immature or just plain human. You don't get to fall apart and be held. You're not allowed to get it wrong or be impatient or just walk away from someone who refuses to do their own work, because you're the divine feminine. So it's your job to lead him home. And that's deeply unfair to both people in the relationship. If we tell women that they're the spiritual leaders and men, they're just slow learners, we're holding everybody back. We're reinforcing the exact same gendered dynamics that have kept people stuck for centuries. Just now it's covered with some incense and a soul contract. Real empowerment comes when both people are equally responsible for the care, growth, and emotional health of the relationship. It comes when we stop assigning roles based on archetypes and start building relationships based on mutuality. The most important piece in building a healthy, respectful, and mutual relationship is defining your limits and boundaries. So, if you're tired of feeling overwhelmed by the demands of others, if you struggle to prioritize your own needs and well-being, if you feel trapped in a relationship that's exhausting you, Claim Your Freedom is the resource I wish every recovering overfunctioner had. It's your essential guide to reclaiming your time, energy, and emotional health. It's a powerful workbook that helps you untangle obligation from love, so you can get really clear on what's yours to carry and what's not. For just $17, you'll have a clear, practical way to understand who feels safe, supportive, and trustworthy in your life and who doesn't. Tools to map out your relationships visually so you can see patterns and make conscious choices about where you invest your energy. and permission to set boundaries that protect your peace without guilt, shame, or second guessing, and help in putting your boundaries in place so you can share them with the people who need to hear them. Link is in the description because even a twin flame needs the freedom to make good choices and avoid self-abandonment. Okay, let's get back to the video.
When the masculine isn't ready to face the triggering that the divine feminine is able to provide to him so that she can pave the way into divine integration, which is essentially them both harmonizing through the lowering of these egoic shields and allowing the pure higher conscious energies to guide the two of them into this dance of oneness.
So this is where the whole twin flame narrative starts sounding less like spiritual growth and more like a battle disguised as romance. When it's your divine purpose to trigger someone into healing, you're being set up to fail. If they get angry, you are just too intense. If they shut down, you push too hard. If they refuse to grow, well, maybe you didn't shine your light bright enough. And here's the kicker. Your job is to activate their landmines and then stand patiently in the blast zone, avoiding shrapnel, waiting for them to figure it out. No. Real love does not require you to hurt your partner into healing. And it sure as hell doesn't require you potentially putting yourself in harm's way. And even if the divine feminine does her job perfectly and kicks the divine masculine into shape, who's going to get the credit? He will, because he's taken the more visible road of healing, while she's expected to be long-suffering. Real partnership does not assign one person the role of teacher and the other of reluctant student. And also, just from a basic human safety standpoint, telling people that being triggered is proof they're growing is dangerous, because it means they may stay in harmful, even abusive dynamics, thinking it's part of the divine dance. They think their discomfort means they're ascending. Spoiler alert, sometimes discomfort just means you're being treated badly. If you've made it this far, you might be thinking, okay, maybe Leah is just skipping the parts where Gabi talks about how the divine masculine supports the divine feminine on her journey. But no, it just continues to get more demented.
What the divine feminine counterpart wants most is for her masculine counterpart to simply let go, to lighten, to raise his frequency, to be real with himself, to be honest, to graciously accept his higher calling. And yet collectively, the masculine is in resistance. This brings tremendous pain to the feminine.
So what she wants most is for him to heal. But where is the expectation that he is going to show up for her in the same way, in any way? What if she's tired? What if she's stuck? What if she's in resistance and needs him to gently hold her while she finds her way? No, this is not destiny. It's spiritual babysitting. Okay, and now we get to the part where the stakes go from emotionally manipulative to comically absurd.
Where the story ultimately heads is when the divine feminine chooses to break free of her attachment or the emotional hold that the separation has on her. She can create meaningful change through her heart, and she can birth a new consciousness on planet Earth. And that's what women are currently being called to do.
So now, it's not just your job to love him through his dysfunction, trigger him into awakening, and carry the weight of your shared growth. It's your job to save the entire planet. Cool. No pressure. All while telling women this is their destiny, so they can't walk away. They can't stop carrying relationships, households, communities, or apparently the fate of the entire goddamn cosmos on their back. It still centers men. Even in her ultimate power, the divine feminine is framed as the one who must rise so she can pull the divine masculine up behind her. We don't need a new consciousness where women are expected to fix everything. We need a new consciousness where healing is shared, growth is mutual, and responsibility is distributed equally. So no, it is not your job to ascend for the planet. You don't have to suffer to be worthy of love. We have got to stop teaching women that they are meant to caretake another adult, especially someone who won't even meet them halfway. And we have got to stop teaching men that they're incapable of emotional or spiritual depth until a woman cracks them open like a walnut. That is insulting to everyone. Instead, we need to raise our kids, regardless of gender, with the tools to thrive in all areas of life. To teach our boys that they are absolutely capable of emotional insight, spiritual growth, and even domestic responsibility. We need to teach our girls that they are entitled to support, rest, and relationships of equality that don't require them to play therapist, mother, and spiritual leader all in one. Real partnership does not assign roles based on archetypes. It grows from the messy work of showing up honestly again and again as equals. Let's make that the new sacred union. So if you're ready to let go of guilt, obligation, or the idea that love has to hurt, check out my workbook, Claim Your Freedom. It'll help you get clear on what's yours to carry in a relationship and what you can lovingly release. Link is in the description. Thanks for being here. If this resonated, hit like, subscribe, or share it with someone who's tired of playing by broken rules. Leave a comment below and let me know, have you ever been guilted into staying with somebody because it was your spiritual practice? Every time you interact with this video, it tells the algorithm that it's worth sharing with others. So thank you. And if you want to see this very same dynamic played out in evangelical Christian language, check out this video. And remember, you are worthy of love. And I'm going to help you get there, one conversation at a time.